Well, yeah, I mean, we do everything we can to keep the prices low. We're a family-run business, and many of our employees have families. I want to make sure that as tight as it gets, a growing family can always afford to enjoy a Marty's Pizza.
Marty's Pizza in Delafield.
And martyspizza.net for easy online ordering.
Register online for Red Card Loyalty, and after 15 pizzas, you'll get your next one free!
Marty's Pizza.
Do you remember when times were good? Well, they're good again. It's as good today as it was in the past. It doesn't get any better than that.
Remember, Marty's Pizza.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee and Waukesha. Griffin. The buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
Why DIY your frozen pizza toppings when Screamin' Sicilian already went over the top for you? We're talking whole milk mozzarella, heaps of premium meats, a mountain of veggies. Screamin' Sicilian is frozen pizza stacked, no add-ons needed.
Mamma mia!
Screamin' Sicilian, so loaded with toppings, it's almost cheating. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's freezer section and taste what all the screamin' is about.
Now that the game is done, it's our time to check in.
Next thud here to start the 4-game road trip for the Bucks. They lose it by a final of 128-96 against the Utah Jazz.
Bucks Talk starts now.
All but 2 of those losses by 15 points or more, and a tough start to the road trip undoubtedly for Milwaukee tonight.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios, here's Justin Garcia.
Well, not much to say after this one. We heard some comments from Doc Rivers afterwards that this was essentially one that they circled as one they really hoped to get on this road trip. And the reason is simple. It is a Utah Jazz team that is actively not trying to win. They had 8 players that they ruled out today. And this isn't the only game they've done this. We saw a similar version of the Utah Jazz when they played in Milwaukee, but just in case you were wondering, hey, where's this guy or where's this guy? Who is this guy? I'm sure is a pretty common question that came up tonight as you were listening to and or watching the game. That is because Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Keontae George, who has been one of the bigger breakouts this season, not just for the Jazz, for the entire league. Walker Kessler, Yusuf Nurkic, Isaiah Collier, John Conchar, Bryce Sensabaugh, all ruled out. 8 players, and 8 of their 9 leading scorers at that, ruled out of the game. Utah played last night. The Bucks did not. No, you had to travel to Utah, to Salt Lake City. But the Jazz played last night, and they played 8 players total in this game on night 2 of a back-to-back. 5 of those 8 scored in double figures. 4 of those 8 set new career highs in points scored. And this Bucks team just looked lifeless. Really from the start. 3 of the 4 quarters, you lost badly. You lost every single quarter. But 3 of the 4, you lost badly. I think it was, 11, 9, and 11 in the first, second, and fourth quarter. Look, and I forget the way that Doc Rivers phrased it before the game. But, we've talked about it on recent shows too. Bucks aren't officially eliminated from the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. We've known that for probably 10 days or so. But there are some things you can play for and look for, and you can't. And you're not going to hear a coach just outright give up. You can't give up hope. but you can focus on let's just do these things. Let's do this. Let's make sure these young players grow. Let's see growth and improvement from Ousmane Dieng, from Ryan Rollins, from when Kevin Porter Jr. is back on the floor, right? A.J. Green, those types of guys. And I think by and large, you've seen it from a couple of them. Pete Nance, you didn't notice him tonight. A.J. Green had another brutal game tonight. And that, again, has unfortunately been a trend for A.J. throughout this season and especially the back half of the season. Now, Doc Rivers mentioned before the game, too, the Phoenix Suns specifically in 2020 and that bubble team that they did go. Because remember, not every team was invited to play in the bubble. The Phoenix Suns were one of those teams, and they went 8-0 in their games. And you heard a lot of it in the 2021 season, the 2020-21 season, the same season they played the Bucks in the finals. You heard a lot of it that year of, it started in the bubble. Look what Phoenix did. They found that competitive nature. Young guys made some really big improvements and had big moments in the bubble. It carried over into the following season. Yeah, they had some personnel changes as well, but it started there with how they closed out the season and laying the foundation. That's what we heard from Doc Rivers. That's what we want to do here. That was before the game tonight. I would not say you met the assignment to lose by 32 to an actively quitting team. Not quitting. That's the wrong. An actively trying to lose actively team in the Utah Jazz. 855-616-1620. 855-616-1620. The Siding Unlimited Talk and Text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Is the reality is we only have 13 more of these left after tonight. You're not officially eliminated, but I believe the tragic number is 6 for the Bucks now. So any combination of Bucks losses and Hornets wins, as soon as it totals 6, you're out. And look, by the time we get to Monday, it's very likely going to be 2 because of what Charlotte has and because of what you have. The next 2 games for the Hornets are the Grizzlies and the Kings. Your next 2 games, as we just noted, your next 3 games, if we go all the way to next Wednesday in Portland against the Blazers, your next 3 games are against teams that are 7, 8, and 9 in the Western Conference. And all of those teams are playing for something in terms of their seeding. Phoenix can get out of the play-in tournament. The Clippers and Blazers are looking to make sure they don't finish 10th. And both of those teams could catch Phoenix, too, and say, well, we can host the 7 versus 8 game. So you're facing 3 straight teams that are playing for something. And Charlotte is not, and Charlotte has started to peak at the right time. They absolutely tore apart the Orlando Magic tonight. They're now 2 games above 500 on the season. 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited Talk and Text line to join us tonight as an extremely disappointing night, a season full of disappointments. This one is arguably the biggest disappointment we have seen, and I hope it ends up being the biggest we have seen because I shudder to think of what that would mean if there's anything more disappointing than this one tonight. Some very sobering numbers for the Bucks and this 32-point loss. How that has become accepted and common this season, we'll share those coming up after this on Bucks Talk.
Potential is like God's love. It lives within everyone and shows us that we are made for more. At Aug Prep, faith ignites excellence in academics, the arts, athletics, and every aspect of our lives. Students don't just realize their full potential, we learn to soar. The #1 K-12 school in Milwaukee is expanding to the North Shore and is now enrolling grades K4 through 6th and 9th. Aug Prep North, made for more. Apply today at augprep.org.
True luxury is the absence of worry. It begins the moment you settle into your seat with Delta Vacations and continues as you step onto the polished teak decks of a Holland America ship. Whether you're chasing the northern lights or the Mediterranean sun, Fox World Travel anticipates every detail so you can simply savor the journey. Stop managing the logistics and start making memories. Call 866-GO-FOX-GO or visit foxworldtravel.com to elevate your travel today.
Experience an auto show like never before. The Milwaukee Auto Show hits the road with new dates and a new easy access, easy to park location. Clear your calendar. May 14th through 17th at the Wisconsin State Fair Park and Expo Center. Whether shopping or just dreaming, you'll see sleek luxury cars to rugged trucks and everyday favorites. Hundreds of new vehicles. May 14th through 17th at the Wisconsin State Fair Park and Expo Center. AutoShowMilwaukee.com.
Amy Simonson is the IT administrator with Professional Services Group. They had business technology from a not-so-supportive vendor. Not anymore. They switched to James Imaging Systems.
They come in as a partner. They want to help you. They want to make your business successful.
Including your James Imaging Systems sales representative.
He's always there when I need him. It's always like, what can I do to help you?
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner with great people and more value.
The value is we have the right equipment in the right place. We're getting reliable, consistent service when we need it.
Amy, your advice for other Wisconsin businesses?
I would definitely say contact James Imaging. They are very helpful and knowledgeable and will put you in the right place.
James Imaging Systems, AI-driven workflow automation, security enhancements, digital transformation. Call 262-781-7700, 262-781-7700, or visit jamesimaging.com.
The Roundball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
To say it's a disappointing start to the road trip is being incredibly kind. You can question what the Bucks should be playing for here. In terms of picking up wins. Should you actually be doing that? Should you be trying to increase your lottery odds in this summer's draft? And, I'll grant you that and say, okay, fine. But you can lose and be competitive. You can lose like you did against the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier in the week, where we have unfortunately hit the point where you are accepting moral victories. You would have taken one of those tonight, even against a Utah Jazz team that has nothing to play for as well. That is, again, actively trying to not win games. But a 32-point loss to that team is where it becomes tough to comprehend what's happening with this team. Yeah, you heard from Doc Rivers there. We're not going to make too much out of one game here, and I get that. And ordinarily, I would agree with that. It's not one game. This one game, sure. Tonight was one game specifically. This is not one game that we are talking about with this team. This has been habitual. This has been a trend for this group throughout the season. Tonight, for this Bucks team, I mentioned some of these numbers get to be pretty staggering when you look at how this season has gone. And I think we talked about this the other night as well. By the numbers, you're going to have the, what was that, the 14-15 season? No, the 13-14 season. You're going to have the season where the Bucks won 15 games. In terms of your wins and losses, sure, you're not going to match that this season when you look at it and say, what was your worst season? Yeah. In terms of your record, it ain't going to be it. Not this season. But in terms of just about every other metric and number, it's up there. It's going to be up there in some of those numbers, the staggering ones. This loss tonight was their fourth loss this season by 30 or more points. That ties the franchise record. We just talked about a season where you won 15 games. You've had seasons where you've won 25, 26 games. Like the 13-14 season, the 07-08 season is another one that comes up a lot. Any season for most of the 90s is out there. That's the company you're in with a lot of these numbers. Their offensive efficiency, defense, and how much that has fallen off a cliff this year. But fourth loss by 30 or more points. I would venture to guess the Bucs did not have 4 30-point losses in the previous, we'll say the first 7 years of this era, 6 years of this era. From 18-19 all the way until your first year with Damian Lillard, I would guess you didn't have a total of 4 30-point losses. You have 4 this year alone. This was their 9th loss by 25 or more points. They already have the most 25 or more point losses in franchise history this year. They were already number 1 at 8. They're adding to it with 9 tonight. And it was the 14th loss by 20 or more points, which also ties a franchise record. Between where the offensive ratings have been, your scoring efficiency, just look to, we've talked about things as simple as true shot attempts and what that really values and judges. Are you matching your opponent in the number of chances you're getting to score? And the answer for the Bucs this year has simply been no. They are not, and it's not close. But, look at point differential. And I don't love citing points scored per game when you're talking about how good an offense is, because there's a lot of things that factor into that. Offensive efficiency or offensive rating is a much better judge of that. And you can say net rating is a better judge of it too. I would also guess the Bucs are basically the same or worse in net rating than where they are in point differential. But if we look at point differential, right now, the Bucs are minus 5.4. That is 25th in the league. The only teams that have been outscored by more than the Bucs have on a nightly basis are this Utah Jazz team that just beat you by 32 points. Utah's point differential is minus 7.5. The Indiana Pacers, who right now own the worst record in the league, they're minus 8.9. The Brooklyn Nets, who are not far behind Indy, they're minus 9.3. The Sacramento Kings are a minus 10, and the Washington Wizards are minus 11.2. All of those X amount of 20-point losses and 25 and 30-point losses. The good news is, while it is the most in franchise history, it's not the most in the league this season, because those last 2 teams that we mentioned, and Brooklyn, really the last 3 teams that we mentioned, they're running away with it. Washington especially. Most 30-point losses, most 20-point losses, most 25-point losses. But that's the company you're in. And it's been that way for some time. That we, frankly, were prolonging the inevitable. When we were trying to, they're only X amount of games back of the Charlotte Hornets. You go back to the All-Star break. And really, the time around the All-Star break, the 2 games before the break, where you won in Orlando and in Oklahoma City, and we were starting to talk ourselves into, all right, you're going to get Giannis back. These are 2 nice wins. We got this shiny new toy in Cam Thomas, and maybe you can start to build something here. And they did in the short term to the tune of 8 wins in 10 games. And then it all cratered as soon as you hit game number 11. If you didn't go on that run, we looked back at this the other day, where the Bucs were in the standings. You basically cost yourself 5 games in the standings, where it's a much different conversation right now if you didn't go 8-2 in that stretch. Instead of, they're probably going to finish with the 10th best odds in the draft. Instead of that, what happens if the Bucs, even if they played 500 in that 10-game stretch? Right now, that means They're 25-44, which would be just a half game up on the Memphis Grizzlies for the 8th best odds. You have a game with Memphis, right? But it would be only 2 games in front of the Pelicans, only 3 games in front of the Utah Jazz. The Bucks have basically been a 3-7 team for this season. So what if that was it? What if we take off 5 and you just played at the pace that you've played at for the duration of this season? You're 23-46, meaning you're worse than the New Orleans Pelicans. You have the 7th best odds in the lottery and a chance to realistically, and especially with this result tonight, move down to number 5. Now, here's the thing. Great. It sounds great now to say, man, that's where you could have been. Wow. Think about the odds of the Bucks moving into the top 4 if that's the case. And even if you're at number 5, you know at worst you can only slide down to 9th in the lottery. Yes, but what is happening now with this team, I think it's important to point this out. The Bucks are clearly not trending in a good spot, right? They are the inverse of that 8-2 stretch. They're 2-8 in their last 10. The losses have been ugly. And suddenly, when we said, yeah, at best, you're maybe going to move down 1 spot, Chicago's making it interesting. Maybe Memphis makes it interesting. They just beat Denver the other night. But you know the other team that's really making it interesting is the team you don't want to make it interesting, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans. So maybe you continue this plummet and you increase your chances, but it's going to come at the expense of New Orleans. So what happens when the Bucks pass Chicago, pass Memphis, pass New Orleans, and all of a sudden we're talking about, holy cow, the Bucks have the 7th best odds now in the draft lottery. Let's go. And they move into the top 4. But guess what? You've passed New Orleans, and New Orleans has no incentive to lose. They don't have a pick this summer. They already traded part of the pick they get from you next year as well. So they're saying, screw it, let's win. And New Orleans ends up, with the 9th best odds because they just keep winning. And congratulations, you're right back at 9 or 10 that you're picking, and you have just made the path easier for Atlanta to have a top 4 pick and increasing a team that looks like they're on the rise. That's the precarious spot the Bucks are in. Frankly, they should be fortunate or feel fortunate that New Orleans has been as bad as they have been this season because, look, you can question where New Orleans was going to really slot in the Western Conference, but their assumption was not one of the borderline 5 worst teams in the league. They were playing to compete this season. And even if you look at things like what the preseason over-unders and win totals were, New Orleans was picked to finish somewhere around like 11th or 12th worst record in the league. What if that held true? And what if New Orleans was just this frisky, basically where Portland is right now? What if that were the case? And now all of a sudden New Orleans is in the play-in tournament. And maybe they keep messing around and they win a game and they get the 8th seed, right? What if that happens? Where all of a sudden, so I guess we're picking 15th now. And we're really bad. And we just gave the Atlanta Hawks the number 2 pick in the draft. Like you should thank your lucky stars. We are likely going to be picking 10th this season is the reality here for the Bucks. We do have the comments from Doc Rivers that we will get to in just a moment here. But let's before we do that, let's squeeze in a phone call here. Jalen in Milwaukee, you're up on Bucks Talk.
Yeah, I wanna touch on the topic because I know you're about to get to Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is terrible. Doc Rivers doesn't need to be coaching anymore. The Bucks are in complete turmoil. They have no identity. Giannis wants to play. I don't know why when we do have those odds. And the odds are great because we do have a generational college freshman coming in. But with 7, 8, what is our direction? Do we want to keep going with Ryan Rollins and KPJ running the 1 and 2? And then that means we miss out on a Kingston Flemings. That means we miss out on a Darius Acuff. Or is Giannis going to be someone that comes next season, I'm just kind of adding on to what you're adding. And are we going to keep Giannis next season? And then let's say we can get the 4th pick. We get Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson can't shoot. We can't play him next to Giannis. We get Koa P. Koa P can't shoot. We play him next to Giannis. We have no identity. We have no future. We don't even have a coach that we're proud of. Our developing team is not good. We haven't developed anyone since Giannis.
I wouldn't go that far. Look, that last part, I mean, you've at least developed some guys these last 2 years.
And who have we developed? Ryan Rollins?
Yeah.
Coming from the G League?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you with that, but what's some other guys?
Pete Nance, you found something in. AJ Green was nothing that you had.
Pete Nance.
How many young guys did the Bucks develop prior to the last 2 years? How many young guys were rotational pieces prior to the last 2 years?
Rotational pieces on the Bucks or rotational pieces somewhere else? If I don't think we can blame that on. I don't think we can give the gratitude to Bucks development with that, because
Do
if
you think
we're
it's
able to
blind
develop
luck
so
that all
well,
of a sudden you found 3 guys that are rotational players?
But if we're able to find rotational players, why can't we maintain them on the Bucks? We're developing them.
Well, it's
to
a
be
completely
key
different
rotational player
staff.
To Giannis, a completely different staff. So when we have Dante, when Dante wasn't really anything here, he was a rotational. We were playing him away where he did not prosper at all. He goes to Minnesota, he goes to New York. What does he do?
Right. Who was the coach? Who was the coaching staff?
Are you talking about AJ Griffin? Are you talking about Budenholzer?
It was a completely different staff.
As in what aspect?
The entire aspect. It was a completely different coach and coaching staff.
But then let's talk about our latest draft picks. AJ Johnson. Let's talk about Beauchamp. What about this? Beauchamp was supposed to be our Jason Tatum stopper. Now he can't. Now he's sniffing minutes. What, on the Clippers? What was it? The Sixers?
He's with the
One
Sixers.
of those teams. Yeah, one of those teams. And he's in and out the league.
Right. So
we don't have the right people in the scouting position. We can't draft. I've been saying that if we're going to
your front office and your
20,
coaching staff that develops talent are two very different things. I think your point is about the front office. The coaching staff is who's developing these young guys.
I'm talking about the whole management.
Well, and
I'm
again,
talking about the whole
that's
management.
the front office. The coaching staff has turned over and is completely different with all of those guys, including Marjan Beauchamp.
So let me get your perspective on Doc. Let me hear what you got. You think Doc should be fired?
Well, you've given your point on Doc.
Now, I know that you're about to touch on that segment of what he said in his post-conference, but how do you feel about tonight? I am tuning in kind of later, so if you did talk about tonight, I'm sorry I missed it. But how do you feel about tonight?
Well,
how do you feel about the rotations that I feel terrible? I turned off the game. We're going against a Utah Jazz team that doesn't want to win. You know Lowry's not even injured like that. Keontae George probably has a hammy that's pulled where he should be sitting out maybe a week, and now he's sitting out 2 to 3 weeks. All Jaren Jackson, and that we didn't hear about that injury when he was with the Grizzlies. So we're playing against a Jazz team that's tanking on purpose, and we get 20-30 ball by Cody Williams, who probably won't even stay in the league after his rookie contract is over. You're blowing me. The Bucks are blowing me. And we didn't have anyone score 20 tonight against the Jazz, against 25-year-old kids that are younger trying to make their way in the league, trying to get an extra contract, and I don't know what the Bucks' direction is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will agree with that last point that I don't know what it is either, and I don't think we're going to know until the summer because you are kind of, at this point, in limbo or purgatory that there's a lot that needs to happen.
We're in turmoil.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen this summer, and it all starts with whatever happens with Giannis. I mean, that starts all of it. The draft, you got to wait to see where you're drafting there and what you do with that pick too. But look, when you have a season like this, where I just mentioned before you came on too, the number of 25 and 20 and 30-point losses they've had this season, they are all franchise records for the most. More than a season where you won 15 games, so lost 67. You have more losses of 30, 25, and 20 this year than you did in those years or any other year in franchise history. Like, when you have a season like that where you came into things, but let's go back to October. Where did you think realistically this team would finish?
So when I was going back to October, I thought that Giannis would be on his 2018 Bron run, and we could probably be a 6 seed. I thought we'd be better than the Raptors.
Yep.
I thought for sure better than the Sixers, and I thought we were at least Giannis could carry, but then did face Giannis injury early on, and then we did see Ryan Rollins go crazy against the Warriors and the Knicks. And then so I thought, okay, maybe Ryan Rollins, KPJ, Bobby could hold us afloat. Miles Turner has not been what we thought he would be. At all. At all. He doesn't rebound like he was in Indiana. Even I think maybe in Indiana, he had everyone there to rebound. I think he tried to put it on Giannis to rebound like how Brook was. And no, he just can't grab a rebound to save his life. And then his three-point percentage has dipped. And then so I don't know what he's doing for us. Maybe he might get the blocks, but I don't know what he's doing. And then so once I saw the drop-off, I still thought we could be maybe 8th seed with the East. And then the Celtics did amaze me with Jaylen Brown coming ahead, and I didn't think they'd be where they are now. So I thought we'd be able to be an 8th seed. I didn't think that the play-in was possible in October, but now I thought the play-in would be okay. Now we probably won't even sniff the play-in.
No.
We're really behind the Hornets.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is, and we're up against it, so thanks for the call. And a couple of the points you brought up, I don't disagree with. What I would say about Miles is, I mean, usage, I think, is a big part of it, too. You look at the average shot distance for Miles Turner this year, it's longer than any year in his career. And again, look at tonight. Every single shot he took was a 3. I don't know if that's what he anticipated. And look, granted, part of it was when you play against a drop defense, that's a shot that's going to be there. But think about how many times we saw Miles Turner kill the Bucks in mid-range and around the rim in other areas. And it just doesn't feel like you've asked him to do that this season. So I do think that is a part of why, by the numbers, it hasn't been good for Miles Turner. It's the lowest scoring output he's had since the 2019-20 season. His rebounding, I would push back a little on and say, look, it wasn't great in Indiana. And even Pacers fans were quick to point out, don't expect him to rebound. Now, the rebounding rate was better with Miles Turner on the floor, just as it was with Brook Lopez on the floor. But individually, Miles Turner was not somebody that accumulated high rebounding totals. That said, it's dropped even lower this season. I do think a part of it is those team numbers and that the Bucks have just not been good at rebounding the basketball this season, beyond Miles Turner. But it doesn't feel like anyone has really been on the same page, Miles Turner included. I thought this team was probably going to be 5th-ish in the standings prior to the season. And I thought, look, if everything goes your way, if everything breaks right, you mentioned Giannis in the LeBron-esque seasons. I thought more like Jokic with what you were going to ask him to do. And frankly, I think Giannis thought the same, that I thought the ball was going to be in my hands all the time, and I was basically going to be Midwest Jokic here. And that hasn't been the case, too, because of the ascension of guys like Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. But I thought probably 5th. Your best case scenario, if things go your way, you could be 3rd. But I think the floor is maybe they're 7th, somewhere like that. When those are the expectations and you end up exiting the season with, again, the volume of 30 and 25 and 20-point losses that we have, all the other numbers that are trending in directions you don't want them to be, and the reality is this team is almost certain to lose 50 games this season. When your expectations were 5th, 6th in the Eastern Conference at best, maybe 4th or 3rd, and you lose 50 games, nothing is off the table in this offseason. And I think we said last year, well, it's going to be an offseason of change, and we saw a pretty big change with Damian Lillard gone and bringing in Miles Turner and just kind of leaning into, okay, we're going to really lean into what we saw in these 8 games with these guys. This offseason, I don't see any way there's not even more change than we saw this previous summer. 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. And also, I would point out, Miles' shooting has basically been where it's been his entire career, or at least recently. He's still shooting 39% on threes. Last year was the career year for him, where he was just under 40%, but he's 39% this year. He's a career 36%. So it hasn't been like, oh, Miles. And I think we did this a lot with Brooke, too. When you see a couple miss, it's, man, Brooke is in a slump right now. The shooting's been fine. To me, the bigger issue has been the usage. And has that matched what Miles Turner expected as well? 855-616-1620, the Siding Unlimited talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. When we come back, we will hear the post-game comments from Doc Rivers after what is in all likelihood the most disappointing loss of the season. Hopefully it's the most disappointing loss of the entire season, but it is the most disappointing loss of the season to date. We'll hear from Doc Rivers after this on Bucks Talk.
He told us to load 4 yards into his 8-foot bed, but we knew that 3 full, honestly measured yards were going to fill his truck bed to the rim. After we proved that, he told us the other guys have been telling him he's been getting 4 yards in there for years. Honest measurements and honest folks who just want to do you right. So you come back. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. We did the math. When you buy bagged mulch from the big guys, you pay $50 a yard. Why pay more for inferior mulch? When you buy from Erickson's, you'll get premium mulch for almost half the cost. And you'll see that even our economy mulch is better, for less than half the cost of bag mulch. And either choice is made with premium colorant that lasts longer. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
So I was talking with another real estate agent who has been in the business even longer than I have, with a couple of other big-name companies. He was talking about how it's tough to compete with us because we have good agents and we charge less commission. And he even said that he lost a few listings to us, and it always bothered him because he realized that he was doing everything that we were doing, but he was charging more. We do charge less, and we do everything that a full-service agency does, because we are full-service real estate agents. The only difference is we give you our very best commission rate up front. You do pay for what you get, and with Century 21 Benefit Realty for 1.9% on the listing side of your home, with a cap of $19,000 commission on any size home, you can get full-service experienced agents, MLS marketing, professional photos, even virtual walkthroughs, and everything you get from any other big-name agent, all under the umbrella of the Century 21 brand. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
For growing businesses, digital marketing shouldn't be a gamble. If your business needs results, not guesswork, it's time for a different approach. At Margle Media, we deliver real results for businesses in an evolving digital world. Backed by data, guided by strategy, and focused on actionable outcomes. We partner with businesses of all sizes to drive growth locally or nationwide. Set up a free consultation today. Visit us at marglemedia.com. That's MARGLE media.com.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
$128-96 final score tonight the Utah Jazz, the tank commanding Utah Jazz, absolutely tear apart the Bucks. With 8 players out, 8 of their 9 leading scorers, Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George, Jaren Jackson Jr., Yusuf Nurkic, Walker Kessler, Isaiah Collier, 8 guys out, 8 players active and available. And they played last night, did the Jazz. One of those 8 was signed to a 10-day contract last week, and he nearly put up a triple-double tonight. An embarrassing loss for the Bucks. 32-point loss, their 4th loss by 30 or more points this season. So with that, let's hear the post-game comments from Doc Rivers.
We played awful. Didn't play with any competitive spirit tonight. I thought the first group set the tone. I thought the first group came in. Everyone on the team, that group was trying to score. So funny, we had a shoot around today where the ball was moving. Everything was second action. First 6 times, the guy who was supposed to go to kept it. And, at the end of the day, that's on me to get them to play right. So.
Just for you guys, there's still 13 games left in the season. That's a lot of basketball to play through.
Important basketball for us.
For you guys, what kind of needs to change?
I don't know. I'm not overdoing one game, honestly. I thought we played great against Cleveland. Thought we competed against Atlanta. So I'm not going to overdo this game. But this was the game you really wanted to win on this road trip. They took out everybody to help us, and we still didn't take advantage of it. So film will be interesting tomorrow.
Cam hadn't played for a couple games for you guys. Just what did you see from him tonight?
The first half he was great. Then the second half, got stagnant. Still defensively, there's some problems there. Cam's a tough one because he's played on teams that he was the only scorer. And on our team, because we have other scorers, the ball still has to move. I thought he did a great job of facilitating in the first half. The turnovers, Miles turnover, Kuz turnovers, those are a bigger concern to me.
You mentioned just, like you said, it's on you to do that. So what can you do in the next off day, go to Phoenix to get that bounce back?
We'll see, Phoenix is playing for their life. So we better be ready.
I think in situations like this, it's easier for the young guys maybe to understand, like, oh, I'm playing for my next contract, but the vets on your team.
This is a tough one. But this is, you'll find out who the winners are. You'll find out who the keepers are. You will. Like, Bobby was phenomenal tonight. Bobby had the right spirit. And Bobby played well, but let's say if Bobby had not played well, he still played with the right spirit. That tells you a lot about when you're trying to build a team. Thanks, guys.
Bucks head coach Doc Rivers, a tough one tonight, 128-96. Back with more after this on Bucks Talk.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Day after day, year after year, the heavy lifting, the repetitive motion, and now your body feels it. Your back, your knees, your quality of life.
At Access Legal, we stand up for people worn down by work.
Workers' comp is our sole focus, and our team has recovered more than $35 million for Wisconsin workers. From sudden accidents to pain that builds over years of hard work, we're dedicated to fighting for the benefits you're entitled to. If you've been worn down by work, contact Access Legal for a risk-free consultation.
Search AXIS Legal today.
Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Amore, pepperoni, amore, mozzarella, amore.
Screamin' Sicilian frozen pizza. More toppings, more flavor. More is amore.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee and Waukesha. Griffin. The buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers. This is Bucks Talk.
128-96 final tonight in Utah. The Jazz, the shorthanded Jazz, beat the Bucks by 32. We mentioned earlier the fourth loss by 30 or more points. That is a new franchise record. They already had the franchise record for most losses by 25 or more. And now they also match the franchise record for most losses by 20 or more in a single season. This was also the 12th time this season the Bucks have failed to score 100 points in a game. The last two seasons combined, they had 12 of those games. It's been one of those years for the Bucks, and that, by the way, is the third most games in an offensive league. Third most games failing to score 100 or more points. The only two teams with more, the Sacramento Kings and the Brooklyn Nets. And again, there are so many statistical categories where that is the company you are in, with the Sacramento Kings and the Brooklyn Nets by record. Those two teams, the third and fourth worst records in the league. And the Washington Wizards will throw in there, too, that the Bucks have been in the company of them quite a bit this season as well. We'll take a look at game number 2 on the road trip in Phoenix against the Suns and wrap things up after this on Bucks Talk.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
Experience an auto show like never before. The Milwaukee Auto Show hits the road with new dates and a new easy access, easy to park location. Clear your calendar. May 14th through 17th at the Wisconsin State Fair Park and Expo Center. Whether shopping or just dreaming, you'll see sleek luxury cars to rugged trucks and everyday favorites. Hundreds of new vehicles. May 14th through 17th at the Wisconsin State Fair Park and Expo Center. AutoShowMilwaukee.com.
Potential is like God's love. It lives within everyone and shows us that we are made for more. At Aug Prep, faith ignites excellence in academics, the arts, athletics, and every aspect of our lives. Students don't just realize their full potential, we learn to soar. The #1 K-12 school in Milwaukee is expanding to the North Shore and is now enrolling grades K4 through 6th and 9th. Aug Prep North, made for more. Apply today at augprep.org.
If you need a place for new home interior ideas, then you have to come talk to us. Our on-staff decorators know furniture, home decor, and a lot more. And they're not only creative, but also very willing to help you make great choices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee. Stop in often, because our inventory changes daily.
Design Exchange.
Previously, it has been gently loved. But here, you'll only find very well-conditioned premium home decor items that you likely won't find elsewhere. Distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original art, and other tasteful home decor at a value. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating taste come to find premium home decor on consignment at 25 to 40% off retail prices in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
(128-96), the final tonight in Utah. The Jazz take down the Bucks. And again, and there's going to be a lot of these numbers. We gave the number of games they failed to score 100 points, the most 20 and 25 and 30-point losses on the season. It is obviously trending more and more towards an offensive league that these numbers are going to continue to go upward. But 118.4 is the Bucs' defensive rating this season. That's the highest defensive rating in franchise history. And to that point, your defensive numbers are going to probably go up because the offensive ratings are going up for these teams. Guess what has not gone up for the Bucs? The offensive rating. When they won the championship, they were a 112.4. So in that sense, yeah, it's gone up. But they were a 102.9 defensive rating. The very next year, and granted, there was a lot of injuries that season, 115.1 offensive rating, 111.8 defensive rating. 115 the following season, 115.4, 111.9. And that was the year the Bucs were the number 1 seed and lost to the Heat in the first round. The years that have followed, a 118.4 offensive rating with Dame that first year, but a 115.8 defensive rating. And then last year, you went down a 115.9 offensive rating. So did your defense at 113.4. And that, again, was the hope for this season. But a 113 offensive rating this season. Saturday nights, Bucs head to Phoenix to take on the Suns. That's a 9 o'clock tip. 8:30 is when the pregame coverage begins. And as always, be sure to stick around after the game for Bucs Talk. We will talk with you once again Saturday night.
Son, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And eat pizza.
Preferably a Marty's Pizza, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we do everything we can to keep the prices low. We're a family-run business, and many of our employees have families. I want to make sure that as tight as it gets, a growing family can always afford to enjoy a Marty's Pizza.
Marty's Pizza in Delafield.
And martyspizza.net for easy online ordering.
Register online for Red Card Loyalty, and after 15 pizzas, you'll get your next one free!